So picturesque. This is what I get to say goodbye to and get to say hello to every time I come back from the lift. He's got no idea about quads or triceps or cardio or anything else like that. A very simple life. Simply just stay on top of this cat tree and take a nap. Something to be jealous of, that's for sure. But let's get in the car. He's got a good watch over the place while I'm gone. Yeah, who's out there? Alright, this might seem a little far-fetched, but frankly, I think we need a brand spanking new unifying force to put an end to our debates training-wise. It's to the point where, I mean, for anybody outside of the fitness circle where you see all the posts and that's all your Instagram is full of, they wouldn't even notice. This is just a weird internal dialogue that we're all freaking out about, because just take it to the extreme. I think we've all been seeing a good amount of very, I might say silly, but let's just say kind of just overthought, overcomplicated movements being done, for the pursuit of activation and lengthen and stretch and everything else and whatever. Right? I think you might overdo it a touch if all your workouts look like that. But that's not to say that I think every set also has to be an ego lifter-ish, max out 10 rep, nasty form, whatever. Right? There's obviously that middle ground where you match just objectively correct training with balls to the wall intensity, right? And I think that's the sweet spot we're aiming for. That's the Vinland that we're all kind of, I think, at least on subconscious level, hoping to reach, And then we've got, I guess, who would I be? You can't really call yourself the cool version of the analogy, but I was about to say, I feel like I'm more on the Thorkel side of things. I don't know. Maybe 20% of you guys do know what I'm saying there. But either way, come on, let's not forget the roots of working out. Move some shit around, get a pump, make gains, enjoy the gains, and then continue the process, right? That's the plan. So I'm going to go ahead and take that into my own hands with today, with arms, and completely thrash them. I had a lighter chest and back day, so I'd probably argue, just based on how I feel, and I'll say it in a second, but just based on my current kind of recovery level or whatever, I'm feeling good, right? So I think I've got a lot of energy to pour into my upper extremities to thicken them up and add some extra beef. And if you didn't ever notice this, there is a little bit of a gauge for your recoveryness, right? And it's not checking your Whoop sleep score. That's probably relatively accurate too. I can't speak on it, but I'm sure that's fine. But a more basic level where you need no technology whatsoever, right? You can just kind of feel your own grip strength or your own ability to basically flex your forearms or just clench your fist. All right. If you're extra rested and recovered and strong, right, you got a good amount of meals, you got a good amount of food, you had a good amount of sleep, right? Everything's in order. Your grip is a solid indicator of that, and you should feel strong in your freaking forearms, right? So if you're recovered right now and you do a little squeeze, it might not feel like much, but next time you're sick, next time you didn't get a lot of sleep, next time you know that you're dehydrated, try that same little test again, and odds are you should be able to say whoa, I can't really put my whole force into my freaking hand like that. All right. So that's usually a good little indicator, and I only ever notice that when I'm really scrappy with my recovery, be it travel, sickness, whatever. That's when I'll feel that. And apart from just how you feel, it's not a bad test to kind of confirm whether or not you might want to take it easy one day or go seriously nuts. I'm not so crazy that I don't take my overall level of recovery into account when I think about what I want these workouts to look like. Because obviously, if I can tell I'm legitimately still in recovery from the last few workouts, or I mean, let's say I got in the car today and my back was like crazy sore from yesterday, and so was my chest from 2 days ago. I'm like, oh, obviously they're clearly still in a state of damage to be recovered from, right? Maybe that'd be a cue to take a rest day instead of coming in to hit arms, And for anybody who's been watching since the beginning, that's a very different take than what I used to say about 2 years ago or so. Because in my mind, it used to be, well, I don't care if I'm sore, I'm still going to hit it. Even if you're sore, don't be a freaking wuss. Get your ass in the gym. And I think there's a good mentality there, because obviously you're locked in. Nothing's going to stop you from getting that pump. But I think it's such that sometimes you have to go too far and then pull back a little bit to know where the real sweet spot is. Because I think the guys who overdo it in the beginning, be it volume, intensity, whatever, like constantly, and then they pull back, at least they know that they're willing to push it that far, right? There's a difference between a guy doing 30 minutes of cardio because that's a good amount versus, or because that's as much as he can handle, or the guy who did 2 hours of cardio for a while, the dieting phase, and then had to pull it back because he was actually just doing too much, but he was still willing to go that far, if you kind of, see what I'm saying. So, all that's to say is, as long as things are in order, go freaking crazy. But, no shame in a rest day. I've never said there was shame in a rest day. My only take there still is don't take them just on a whim. I think the rest day can be a good cop-out for, I don't really want to hit it today. I'm not in a good physical state to hit it today, and I should focus on my recovery and get my meals in and just, kind of just have an active rest day, and then come back tomorrow when I'm just physically less, fatigued from the previous workouts, So I think, I think we always overdo it with the back and forth, but yeah, I'm sure everybody's going through all sorts of freaking fitness phases. I think we're probably nearing the climax of this current arc. I think we're in the science arc right now, and I'm sure we'll have some new something or other pop up out of the woodworks. If you look at it on a broader scale, it's always just, how do I make the training more interesting, right? So don't freak. As long as you're going nuts and you actually go to the gym, how many people in random Instagram comment sections getting into arguments about working out and everything else, how many of them are actually locked in? Just take that into account whenever you scroll through any of these like threads of arguments, because as long as you're in the green and you're doing good for you, that's all that matters. This is a very individual thing, right? It's not your gains aren't my gains, and my gains aren't your gains, right? So it's kind of a put on your own respirator before helping anyone else kind of situation, I feel, right? It's like get your own house in order first. But I can almost guarantee that within an hour from setting up camp and warming up a little bit and getting my triceps warm, my rotator cuffs and everything else, I should be having a reasonably full arm day, or full arm pump rather. So I think no more discussing it. Let's just actually make it happen. I was torn. Do I do single arm? Do I do underhand? Do I start with rope? But I haven't started arms with the kind of cross body slash extensions for a couple arm days. So I think that'll be good. And this isn't a heft set. I really want to feel a crazy burn at the bottom and then get a good solid stretch on top. And obviously go as hard as possible. That's a given though. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that. Okay. Okay. Oh, my gosh. Yeesh. One more. And then I want to make today a little funky. So let's do light squeezing set, or light squeezing movement, then heavy movement, then light, and then heavy. So next up I think is going to be dips. Okay. So, relatively light squeezing extensions. And frankly, if you have like a cross-body cable machine like that, those crosses are freaking fancy. It's like I mean, it's similar to a rope, because obviously with a rope you do pull apart at the bottom, but with the two cables it's like that for the whole range of motion. But in complete contrast, let's throw the stack around here. And when I say throw, I mean do full range of motion, get a good stretch, hold, squeeze. But this is definitely heavy. Honestly, it was kind of funny. When I was diving down, I had to like pull myself into the seat with my legs because I wasn't heavy enough to push the stack down. Now that I'm bolted, that's not an issue. All right, come on. All right. Okay, oh my God, okay. One more. I had to readjust my hands. I felt like a little bit of a pinch in my palm. But yeah, one or two more of these, and then we'll switch to another squeezing movement. But I'm just starting off very well. Come on. One more. Let's make it a drop set, and then move on. Feels too good just to do two. Okay, goodness. Okay. Oh. All right. I think let's finish on some rope, and that might be it. Here's my finisher. Pre-exhaust with rope extensions, half the stack worth, right? Squeeze, hold, burn, you get the feeling. Then once I'm pretty much burnt out, straight bar pushdowns, much more pumpish, right? Like in contrast, I mean, those first set of extensions with the 2 individual cables, slow, controlled out the freaking wazoo. But now that my triceps are cooked, I am going to get benefit of kind of some pumpish reps, because it's almost, man, I don't really know how to describe it. It's like if you got an engine and to start it, you wouldn't rev it. But once it's already moving, and you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of my thought process. And sure, that's not like a scientific basis, but in terms of like subjective feeling, makes sense to me. Okay. No. 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 Okay, let's move on. Okay. Oh my goodness, all right. That's enough. Let's curl something. Start with some cable curls. All right, I'm not done. Okay. Oh, one more. Okay. One more rest pause. Okay, that's enough. Oh, let's give us something a little lighter and squeezing. Whoosh. That's a good 2 openers though. This C curl is freaking sweet. Not the heaviest though, so I can actually do the stack. But same logic as before. Really with buys, I'm not gonna do like light squeezing sets or heavy whatever. You know, I'm just gonna go hard and have a good squeeze at the top while I'm strong. You know. I call this a pretty much basic ass classic style. All right, come on. Okay. Oh, that's way too heavy. Oh, that was good, but that was too heavy. Let's drop it 50. There we go. So one more. Okay, oh my god. Oh, let's go do some double curls. Yeesh. I'm getting them. It's like I'm getting a little too big for this freaking machine. Like my lats they want my arms to be out here, but the machine wants my arms like really inward. I feel like I'm squishing myself in the process. Either way, let's throw some dumbbells around next. All right, 65s are feeling good. Come on. Let's get real. Holy crap.
This nobody over here might be though.
Okay. Oh. One more. Okay, that's good. Whoa. Oh, let's move on. There we go. All right. Yeah, arms complete. Unfortunate timing though, because something about 8:45-ish. Everybody was in the mirrors, and you know, as much as I want to get a pose down, I'm not going to tell someone to move from doing their working set so I can take the freaking mirror space and, you know, hit a double by. And frankly, in an off season, honestly, the pump check is kind of, it's a little less consequential, you know. I've gone through, actually, I think my first real bulk, I don't know how, I think it was like 4.5 months or so, maybe 3, 4. So like it was, you know, it was substantial. No pump checks whatsoever, because I wanted to see like a massive difference at the end of the, you know, the phase. So every lift was just, you know, go in, pump, go home, right? And that was the freaking end of it, which at the end it was pretty freaking abrupt, to the point where like that last lift I did went sleeveless, so out of character for me. And I'm like, holy crap, I don't know how many inches my arms grew from the beginning till the end of it, but it was enough to make me go, whoa, who the hell am I even freaking looking at right now? But yeah, so that's all right. And then the little yoga room downstairs, locked. There's 3 of them actually, so it wasn't just that one was locked. It was more so that one was locked. The other one was a cycling room, and there's a class going on, and then the other room had some guys sparring, and yeah, those guys do not mess around. If sound is any measure to go off of, just hearing one of these guys smacking the bag with like low kicks, yeah, whoa, would not want to be at the receiving end of one of those. Frankly, that would probably, yeah, that would incapacitate me. I wouldn't stop lifting, but I'd probably have to give legs a freaking break. So, yeah, plan now, go home, freaking classic meal. Rice, ground beef, and hot sauce, all kind of mixed together. plus at least a liter of water, ideally probably 2 with some electrolytes. And it could be any. I mean, it's all the same stuff. Don't really freak brand wise there. It's your sodium, potassium, everything else. It's pretty basic, right? There's not a lot of ground. There's not a lot of new ground being broke into with the hydration game. The real trick is just make sure you freaking drink a ton. But yeah, tomorrow is going to be legs. And even though arms was pretty good, I do not think that I'm encumbering my ability to destroy my quads tomorrow. So yeah, that'll be nuts. I'll see. A group of guys at this gym, they're doing legs tomorrow, and they're all squatting pretty heavy. So I'm not sure if I want to end up going to the private, do the regular leg press pendulum hack combo I've been busting out, or go back to basics with some regular barbell squats and hammer strength leg press. We'll see. Because having the private space is definitely an awesome addition, but that's not for every lift. It's a little too reclusive. You gotta still bounce around. But for legs, I mean, the arsenal of stuff, hacks, pendulum, and that leg press, it's kind of hard to beat. I mean, that's the only reason I used to drive to American Barbell, was because I like their leg stuff, and I would, it'd be like a 45-minute thing. So we'll see how it kind of evolves. But yeah, if I do end up squatting, though, I'll definitely make sure to throw a good amount of weight around. Not for no reason, but you get the gist. So I guess we'll just have to see. But overall, arms are still pumped up. After I finished that last set of curls, I ended up kind of chatting for a bit around the cables, doing some forearm work. So nothing too wild, but just like single arm D handle curls, like pretty heavy enough to really squeeze them. So I think I might feel my forearms tomorrow. But yeah, I'm excited for quads. And I'll see. I think an earlier quad day would be better. Honestly, with these lifts, the earlier I can hit them schedule-wise, the better. Frankly, I get on a really good schedule when I do 6 a.m. cardio and then around like a noon to 1 lift. Because then that gives me a good amount of time and afterward to get a ton of meals in post-workout and enough time in the morning to still get a couple solid carb-based meals in first and be well fed and kind of fueled up for the workout at hand. Because in either case, you're kind of screwing yourself a touch by working out much earlier or much later at night. Honestly, even now, this is probably a bit too late because it's not that I can't fall asleep after taking pre-late. I mean, even if I did like a quick hour workout and went straight from the gym to the house, shower, straight to bed, I can still fall asleep fine. But the issue is, odds are the fact that I just took caffeine and I've got all the, I forget what it breaks down to. It's like ephedrine or, I don't know. But all the shit that happens when you take caffeine, it kind of gets in your blood and everything, it will mess up your freaking REM, your deep sleep. So even though you can fall asleep, you're not getting that same restfulness. So that's where I think I got to lean towards an earlier workout, or maybe limit my caffeine later in the day. I don't want to do a stimulus lift though. That's not necessarily on my bucket list. So I think just earlier, crazier lifts will do me good. But we'll just have to see. I am excited for quads though, because I have, let's just say I'm kind of building up my appetite for heavy ass quad work over this whole, last prep that I did, because there wasn't much, I mean, if I'm trying to peel down and, not overdo it training wise, which is most certainly a possibility, because if you're under eating and you under recover, then you can definitely, overtrain, as it said, right? Because if you're really limiting essentially your primary source of recoverability, right, your calories, the actual food that you're taking in to, have energy to recover, then that's a situation where you definitely can overdo it. Lifting too heavy too often, build up fatigue, things like that, right? So squats were kind of off the table, at least, not at least not so frequent, right? So now I'm kind of building up that leg strength again into this bulking phase with the off season, Because if you got a ton of food and you can really kind of, bounce back from a crazy ass leg day, I see no reason to hold back, right? Plus, I'm changing it up now and really biasing much more pressing work for quads. Leg press, obviously barbell squats, hacks, pendulums, rather than just camping out on the leg extension. Not that I think that doesn't work, but I mean, it's it's just a different feeling to have a leg day that's 90% pressing, 10% leg extensions, and frankly, I think that that's a good situation, kind of highlighting that usually the things that you're looking for are, kind of hidden or are guarded by the things that you don't want to do, right? So if you're not a big fan of the cardio, right, maybe that's your cue. Maybe that's your cue that's a challenge that you get to rise to, throw it into your routine, and before you know it, whoa, I'm a little leaner. I haven't even changed anything about my diet, but I'm getting a little leaner. I'm not saying drastically leaner, but right? I mean, it's not even a question of like logic. If you see somebody running around all day and they're really active, what are the odds that they're going to be on the leaner side of things than softer? It's just kind of the nature of things, right? There's no point to complicate it beyond that, right? Move around, move a lot. Don't eat too crazily. You're probably going to be good. For those who don't want to really dive as deep into the bodybuilding calorie tracking side of thing as maybe we would, which is a totally solid point. I mean, it's a very easy thing to say for guys who don't really want to care about their diet, not because they don't care, but the take is usually, well, I work out hard, I want to eat what I want, I don't want to worry about it, right? And that is most certainly a reasonable take. But from my perspective, I don't want to leave anything on the table. I don't want to leave potential size gains or whatever, leanness, or if I want to diet down, I want to really go all the way. I don't want to just be like, I'm dieting in quotes, and then kind of stay in the exact same boat as I was the last month or 2 months or 3 months. And I think it's just kind of a, I don't want to say a shitty situation to be in, but it's just not an ideal state, right? Because I think we all want to make progress in any endeavor. So if you're putting in 80% of the work, you come to the gym, you set out a chunk of time in your day to, actually show up. You got your pre-workout, you got your tank top on under your shirt, you got your music playing, and you're doing sets like you're actually already doing everything. You're showing up and everything. Why not push it that extra 10%? Really bring it. Same thing when you get home. It's not the hardest thing in the world to track your calories and your macros. It's not the easiest thing, right? I would never say that. It's definitely a little bit of a chore, especially in the beginning, because it's a new thing to add to your routine. But once you get the hang of it, I mean, before you know it, you're just going to have a grasp where you can look at really, basically any kind of food and have a pretty good ability to estimate the calorie value, where you don't even have to read it. Some guys will, not everything has the nutrition label on it, right? If you go to a freaking bakery and you show me a blueberry muffin, I could probably guess within a 25%, plus or minus degree of error, the macros. So that, I could be either 25% over or 25% under. But compared to not tracking it at all, dude, that's freaking huge. Plus, it's, by the time you do it long enough, it's just a second nature thing, right? You don't even think about it. McDonald's single cheeseburger, 23 grams of protein, 14 grams of fat, 30 grams of carbs. Now, that's a McDonald's burger. I never actually track all of that protein. I usually cut it, down to like 10 or 12 per, single, just to actually, make up for the fact that it's probably not the same as a, 100% thorough, whatever kind of raised ground beef, right? But it's still, you just get those things in your head, right? And, you just won't even be thinking about it. But either way, I'm going to go get some food, pass out, and I will see you tomorrow for what I hope to be one of my craziest leg days ever. Frankly, that's what I want all these lifts to be. At least the ones where I really push it heavy-wise and intensity-wise. If it's a lighter squeezing day, where it's like, the last 3 chest days I was really pushing a lot, so I could tell I was kind of getting a little tight. So 2 days ago, I did just a lighter squeezing chest day. That's a little different, right? Obviously still bringing it, but there's a different kind of vibe when you do heavy pressing to failure versus light squeezing flies to failure, and maybe that's just a subjective thing, because I think moving weight around is cool, but either way, tomorrow, as long as nothing's stopping me, I think we're gonna move some serious freaking steel up and down repetitively until my quads are so swollen that walking naturally becomes a challenge, and that's the fun part. So I'll see you then.